All right. Great. So those are some great answers. And with keeping tempo, the best way to do that is you want to communicate with the drum line. The center snare in the drum line, you're watching their feet and you're watching their sticks and you're making sure you're in line with them so that you're conveying that tempo visually with your hands to the rest of the band. So do you guys understand that concept? We will go over that a little bit more later, but tempo, keeping the band together, that's number one. So with clarity, we have to make sure that our technique is good and our posture is also set. So if you're standing on your podium and your posture isn't good and your technique is all over the place, then your downbeat isn't going to be as clear. So make sure you have some room. Let's go ahead and stand up. And we're going to go over our posture first before we get into our technique. All right. So can everyone hear me? Great. So conducting is a physical activity. So with every physical activity, you always want to stretch and warm up before you do that so that we avoid injuring ourselves. So let's start off with some basic warm-ups. Let's make sure you're standing up nice and tall. Let's do some neck rolls. So slowly roll your neck in one direction. And switch directions. All right. Now slowly roll your shoulders back. Now add your arms. Make sure you're getting that tension out of your rotator cuffs. Now roll your shoulders forward. Releasing all tension. One of the biggest things, problems that conductors have is having too much tension in your shoulder. So, all right, cool. Now take your arm, take it across your chest up to your chin like that, and stretch more of your rotator cuff. You feel it all in here. All right, and switch. Make sure you're pulling your arm up to your chin so you're making sure you're getting that stretch. All right. Now let's take our hand and we're going to pull our fingers back to stretch our wrist. And let's pull them down like that. Pull your hand down. All right. All right. Let's switch hands. And down. All right. Check it out. And if you feel the need to do anything else, go ahead and whatever you feel like is necessary for your body. All right. So next, let's go over posture. So everyone stand with your feet shoulder width apart. I know you can't see my feet right now, but feet shoulder width apart, or second position, if you will. This is generally the neutral position that you would like to stand. It exudes confidence with your feet apart like this. And in the show, you could experiment with different foot positions as well. All right, so we're going to go up from our feet and go over our checkpoints. So our knees should be bent very slightly. I'm sure you've heard in marching band to not lock your knees. So we don't want to pass out or anything. So bend your knees very slightly. Make sure they're not locking. All right. Make sure your core is engaged slightly. Everyone take your shoulders, raise them up to your ears, and roll them back like that. Make sure your chest is out. Kind of like you have a Superman symbol on your chest and you're showing the world. And your chin should be up as such. All right. Really exuding confidence. When we're, as a drum major, when we're standing in front of the band, the way that you look really matters, the way that you carry yourself. because if you look confident, it helps your band look confident as well. All right, great. So let's go over our conducting hinges. So our main hinges with conducting are our wrists, elbow, and rotator cuff. We have to make sure that we know how to individualize and isolate these hinges to make sure that we have good technique. So let's go over our range of motion really quick. Everyone go to where you think your set position is first. All right, we're gonna polish that a little bit. We're just gonna go over our range of motion. So I want you to take your fingers and just move them up and down like that. Just your fingers. All right, straight up and down, your fingers. Now add your wrist. Try to keep your fingers and yeah, try to keep your fingers together as much as you can. Now let's add our next joint, which is our elbow. As you can see, we're kind of going in more of a semicircle right now. That's natural. Now let's add our rotator cuff, our next joint. All right, and notice I'm saying rotator cuff instead of shoulder because hence the name rotator cuff. We want to make sure that we're allowing our arms to naturally rotate through our body. So as you get higher, depending on the style, you might be able to like go straight up like an elevator, but you really want to take advantage of that rotation, that natural rotation, because of clarity, for clarity's sake, and also just technique. All right. So let's do the same thing, except let's explore our horizontal plane. So let's move our fingers horizontally and our wrists, our forearms, and let's add our rotator cuff. And explore horizontal, diagonally as well. So that is your plane right there. So you have your vertical plane, your horizontal plane, you have your frontal plane as well, making sure that we're not breaking that frontal plane like that, and it's either straight up and down or a little backwards as well. Great. So, and you can think of it as, especially as we're conducting dynamics later, our hinges as different gears. Like if you're driving a car, you're switching different gears depending on how big you're conducting. All right. Do we have any questions, comments, concerns so far? All right. So let's clean up our set position. So first, everyone put your arms straight down by your sides. Turn to your side a little bit. Now I want you to, without moving anything else, bring your forearms parallel with the ground like that. And bring your arms forward a little bit in front of your body. Now twist your hands, rotate your hands inward. There you go. So a lot of drum majors, they start off up here. It's actually more clear if you're down here in this more natural position. Now let's try this. Take your hands, put them like that, like you're resting your hands and arms on a table, on a desk. Make sure your shoulders are relaxed and they're down and there's no tension. Everyone face the camera as you're doing this. All right, everyone's looking pretty good. Now bring your hands out. All right, let me look at everyone here. Looking good, looking good. All right, make sure our fingers are together. You don't want to force your fingers together, but you don't want to look like spiders like that. So keep your fingers relatively together and your thumbs relaxed. There you go. All right, everyone do this one more time. All right, and bring your hands out. There you go. All right. So let's get into conducting. So we're going to go over some checkpoints with conducting to really help us make sure that we're matching. And this really helps if you're who's a part of a drum major team here? Who has multiple drum majors on your team? Yeah, this is going to really help with matching and making sure our ratios and our hands are matching. So first off, bring your hands up as if you're waving to someone. Like you're saying hi, you're waving to someone. All right. That is your beat one. That is your first checkpoint. All right. Now, just rebound. With each rebound, as you go up, you're saying hello. You're waving. Make sure you're letting gravity do its job and your wrist is naturally flicking as it rebounds off of the ictus. All right. Next, bring your hands in like that as if you are catching a football. Right. Let's bring your hands in as if you're catching a football. There you go. All right. Now rebound from your ictus inwards like that. You're catching that football every time. And stop. Now let's bring our hands out as if we are riding a bike. You're grabbing handlebars right here, but we're going to open our hands. Grab your handlebars. Open your hands. There you go. So you want to make sure that your palms aren't facing the band like that. And then your palms are still facing downwards and your fingers are pointing towards the ensemble. There we go. So Jacob, make sure that our palms are facing more downward. We're kind of doing that a little bit. There you go. And it might be the angle as well. All right. And articulate your ictus. Riding that bike like you're riding a motorcycle. All right, and we're gonna go up again, a little higher than before, as if we were riding a roller coaster. So like we're saying wee. All right, because beat one, before beat one has to be a little bigger to emphasize that first beat, of course. All right, cool. So let's put that all together, and we're gonna conduct a 4/4 pattern. Here we go. 5, 6, 7, 8. Keep in mind your checkpoints. 2, 3, and stop. Let's slow it down a little bit. We're going to slow it down so we can really make sure we're getting those checkpoints. All right. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. High, catch, bike, high five. High, catch, bike, high, catch, bike, and high, catch, bike. Remember those checkpoints? Keep going at your own pace. Just so I can look. Yeah, really be mindful of what your hands are doing here. I want everyone to especially be mindful for the bike. So everyone stop really quick. Everyone be mindful of the bike position because this is the one that a lot of people kind of aren't as clear with. So everyone do this. So I'm seeing a lot of that with our palms facing the ensemble here. So make sure our palms are facing more toward the ground. There you go. Now go back to your catch position. And then bike, catch, bike. All right, so let's do 4/4 again. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and. 2. Keep going, keep going. We're aiming for precision. Make sure that we are hitting the exact same point each time, that our ictus is in one spot. This is called fixed point conducting. Relaxing our shoulders. Posture is strong. And stop. All right. Zoe, are you seeing anything?
I've seen a lot of good stuff. I think in general, like our shoulders are pretty tense. And I think letting yourself rotate a little bit more in the shoulder and not just in your elbow will make it feel a little bit easier.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everyone has a really good rate of travel, and that's really good to see. And what I mean by that is you guys, the way that you're approaching the ictus, it looks natural. You want to think of it as your hands are bouncing balls, or you're bouncing a basketball, sort of, and let gravity do its job. You guys are doing a really good job with that. But just like Zoe said, make sure you're letting that rotator cuff rotate, and then we're not having too much tension there. So make sure we're staying relaxed there. Great, great. All right. So that said, we're gonna go over some more patterns. So let's talk about 3-4. So with 3-4, it's basically the same as 4-4, except we're gonna take away one checkpoint. All right. And what we're going over right now is the DMLA standard, universal standard, which is a standard that is applicable to all styles. So a lot of schools conduct differently. So we want to make sure to give you the tools that you need to be able to apply that anywhere that you can. So the 3-4 pattern that we're going to show you looks like this: 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's the same as the 4-4 pattern, except we're getting rid of the high. So we're going to go straight in for a catch. So go to your set position. Let's do it together, step by step. Catch, bike. Yeah, make sure those palms are facing down, and back up. High five. Catch, bike, high five. Catch, bike, high five. Catch, bike, high five. And there you are. So some of you may know of a 3-4 pattern like this, where you're articulating the downbeat for 2. But we're gonna go with this for now. This is in a lot of cases easier to read, especially if you have multiple drum majors watching the center conductor. It's easier to predict where beat 2 is if it goes in a different direction. Does that make sense? And make sure we're still hitting the exact same point. We're still doing fixed point conducting. All righty, so let's do 3-4. Here we go. Keep your checkpoints in mind. Where's our bike? Where's our catch? Where's our high five? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Relax our shoulders. Keep going at your own pace. Relax those shoulders, relax those elbows. You want to make sure you're not giving the ensemble too much to look at. So make sure your ictus isn't in your shoulders or elbow. And stop. Great. And that's 3-4. Pretty straightforward. So with 2-4, how are we going to conduct 2-4? It's the same thing. We're going to subtract one checkpoint again. So 2-4 is just 3-4, except without the catch. So we're just going to go bike, high five. Yeah. Bike, high five. Bike, high five. Yeah, and really making sure we're not pointing our palms towards the ensemble like that. Keep those palms like that, just like that. All right, here we go. 2-4 together. Everyone do your table thing like that. Check your posture, your set position. Make sure your hands are creeping up. Before we move forward, when we strike our ictus, our downbeat, we want to give that parallel image with our forearm. So making sure our fingers aren't dragging too far below, or making sure they're not too high. You want to shoot for that parallel image like that, as if you're striking right on the table. All right, here we are. We're gonna do 2-4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2. Bike, bike. Really be mindful of what our hands are doing after beat 2 in our bike position. And stop. Yeah, straightforward. Great. And lastly, we're going to go over 1-4. And it's literally just that. High, high, high. And some of you are thinking, when are we ever going to use this pattern, right? 1-4. It can actually be very useful. So even the best conductors get lost sometimes. If you ever get lost in the meters in the show, when in doubt, 1-4. Just show them downbeats, all right, until you get back on track. So everyone with me? Here we go. 1. Let's slow it down a little bit. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And stop. Great. So those are the basic common time signatures that we will be conducting, that drum meters usually conduct. Now, there are also some complex time signatures in meters, such as 5-4, 7-8. And if you ever need to know how to conduct, for instance, 5-4, all you can do is just add 3 plus 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Adding 2 patterns together. So let's try that really quick. We're adding 3